Magdalen Rose. Okay, so on my channel, I talk a lot about media and the history of it and how it affects our brain. So for me, Vaporwave is more than a genre. It's a passion. It's music created out of this turbulent brew of nostalgic memory and pure fantasy. A complete simulacra, a copy without an original. Disclaimer, I am using Vaporwave as a sort of umbrella term to describe a lot of different music coming out right now in the electronic genre, but if you're on Pad's channel, pretty sure you know what I mean. So for a few years now, I've been growing an impressive collection of albums on Bandcamp and listened to a ton of different songs. There are tracks, sometimes whole albums honestly, that pass me by without much effect. But as you know, some songs just hit different. They strike some internal chord inside you and pull you in, and it ends up on your daily playlist. So I've combed my collection, and here are my top 5 songs that just hit different. First, an honorable mention. The only reason this isn't on my top 5 is because top 6 just doesn't sound right. Like, I love this song, and I listen to it several times a week. It's Drifting Away by Android 52. Track 6 on an already solid album, Ultra Groove Product, Drifting Away is a sweet and buoyant melody. It's upbeat, but also wistful. It's the kind of song you expect to play when your crush walks down a hallway in slow motion. 5. Novella Land by Fiverr. I don't know if I pronounced that right, honestly. I apologize, I'm American. I expect most of you are already familiar with Fiverr's work, and if you're not, get very familiar with Fiverr. Not in a creepy way, like in a normal way. Get very respectfully familiar with Fiverr. Easily one of my favorite future funk artists. The entire album is great. Each song flows effortlessly into the next, so listening to it straight feels so smooth. Like the rest of the album, this track feels full and thick with beats. It's pulsating and alive and just so much fun. The type of song you can just rock out to and never get tired. If we ever revived the discotheque, we would have no choice but to play Fiverr. 4. 300 Years Ago by Geneth. On the completely other end of the spectrum, released by Geometric Lullaby, 300 Years Ago is a much darker track. It has the slowed down tempo that's become a hallmark of Vaporwave, making it a whopping 33 minutes long. It sounds deep and heavy with reverb. Listening to it feels like sadness and longing, like the soundtrack to a memory of something that happened a long time ago. 300 years ago to be exact, haha! When you're listening, it feels as though the song is somehow melting. This is a good track to listen to while you're laying on the floor just contemplating existence, or your lack thereof. Just be careful not to melt straight through the floorboards. 3. Phase by Hotel Pools. There was a time last year where I was listening to this track literally every day. If you're not familiar with this Pacific Northwest artist, Hotel Pools puts out some of the best driving music out there. And Phase is the crown jewel, in my opinion, on an already stellar album. It's got lots of synth and bass, which gives it this really retro 80s vibe. I think the main element that makes Hotel Pools great for long trips is that their music evokes a feeling of perpetual motion. If you enjoy those synthwave videos of cars driving on grids toward a cityscape at sunset, this is the music for you. 2. Maury by Dan Mason. Have you been looking at the same 4 walls for the past year? Are you craving the smell of grass or just anything that isn't your apartment? I can relate, and may I recommend Maury by Dan Mason. I personally would classify this as nature wave, but it's definitely ambient and extremely chill. Maury is Japanese for forest, and it conjures that vibe well. The melody itself is beautiful and simple, layered with samples of birdsong, wind, and water. It's a truly lush track, music made of plants and sunlight. If you're a nature lover or just miss the outdoors, I recommend it. 1. Neo Kali by Vectroid. Okay, full disclosure, I'm not a musician. Maybe you can tell from the way I've been describing these tracks. I'm a visual artist, and so I can only relate to this music by the visuals and feelings that they evoke for me. And Neo-Cali feels like summer. It's no secret that the last few years have been hard for a lot of people, and I'm no exception. This album was released all the way back in 2011, but I stumbled upon it a couple years ago while perusing Vectroid's back catalog. I'm not obsessed with her, I'm just very observant. Vectroid's work tends to be a lot darker, but Neo-Cali is a complete departure from that vibe. It starts out robotic and repetitive and then slowly builds into this hopeful, warm melody that's unlike anything I've ever heard from them before. It's not an exaggeration for me that this song genuinely helped my depression. It helped so much, in fact, that when my friends felt bad, I would purchase the song on Bandcamp and send it as a gift. That's real, I did that. Ask an uncomfortable amount of people. The way it builds is truly beautiful and pure sounding, and it hits like the end of a movie. The trials and tribulations are over, and the credits start rolling as our protagonist walks into the sunrise. Okay, I highly recommend any of the songs on this list, but I also really want to know what your list would look like. What songs hit different for you and why? Let me know in the comments. That's it for me. I will see you all next time. Bye!